You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by. On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. I'm glad to be here with you. Thankful that you're here with us. We're live on CKLU 96.7 FM on the radio and streaming live at cklu.ca online. Just click on the Radio Player Canada app and you can listen to us, download it, and you can take us with you. Listen to us anywhere, anytime on your favorite device. We're also streaming live at facebook.com/Sudbury News, youtube.com/Sudbury News, and that's live later on demand on those two platforms as well, and then also on twitter.com/Sudbury News, now X, I'm aware of that, and also at Sudbury.news, which is our local news aggregator, all the news in one convenient location, a service that we provide to the community free of charge for all the news services here. So for all your local news, just check out Sudbury.news, and you can also catch the show on demand on Sudbury.news if you just click on the Sudbury News Talk tab. I think we're going to move it to the main page, though. Instead of clicking on a tab, we'll just have it on the side or something like that to make it easier for people to check out. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow the channel and pages. And then also make sure to comment today live on YouTube or Facebook. The conversation only continues afterwards on Facebook, however. So if you have something you want to add to the conversation, just check out Facebook. And people do. They continue the conversation and chatting with one another about the different topics that we're talking about. And that's what we do here. And that's the whole reason for the show, is to have a conversation. The conversation's on your station, CKLU, but to have a conversation about issues and news that is local or not local, but affects you. And you particularly want to make sense of it somehow and put the dots together. And that's what we try to do here. And everyone's got a little piece of the puzzle. So everybody's comments are important and wanted and needed, I think, in order to have the show be the kind of show it's going to be. We have news headlines for you this morning from local. We also could have a deep dive. We're not sure what particular deep dive we will be going into, but there'll be one, I can guarantee you. Usually it's about the state of our country. And when we talk about the state of our country, we are also talking about the state of the world, because there's a lot of parallels between what Canada is doing and what a lot of other countries are doing. And just a sense that we get out there, it seems like there's a tug of war going on for people's, to either be on one side or another. It seems like there's two kind of competing sides. And it's really interesting. I just had a dinner with some friends the other day, and I'm listening to a point of view that's totally the opposite of what I know my worldview is. And I just sat and listened, and I was like, interesting. I was like, wow. You could see how when you're so entrenched in an ideology and in a worldview, that it's like when you make yourself a net, and every stitch kind of enforces the other stitch, and you then have a huge worldview that if someone was to come up and say, yeah, but that one stitch, it's so intricate and it's woven in with all the other stitches, it's hard to change a view because it's so entrenched. But but just listening and having patience and just listening, we learn a lot from each other, even if our worldview is 100% opposite to what we feel or we understand. It's just, there's something about listening something about understanding where the other side is coming from. And the more and more the world gets divided, and, you know, even though people say they're here to unite us, our leaders, they are the ones dividing us. And we'll have probably a deep dive on that. It's called doublespeak. It comes from George Orwell. And how our leaders use that. They're the ones doing the victimizing, but they're also the victim at the same time. They're always the victim, so they can do all the victimizing they want because they're the victims. And it's interesting tactics politically. And but anyways, it's this particular gentleman that I just saw his video this morning, and I thought, you know what? He has some really interesting points that he's making. So hopefully we have time for his comments a little bit later in the show. And it just helps to make sense of maybe why the world is the way that it is that we're living in, and why you turn on the news and a politician will tell you something and you say, wait a minute, this sounds like the opposite of what the truth is. Or the thing they're saying, they're accusing someone else of, they're doing themselves. They're doing the very thing. You know, if we have a current leader that's in power in our country right now that says, you know, the opposition that we have just wants to divide people. Well, from what I've seen, there's just the little bit of 9 years that I've seen of this particular leader, there's been a lot of dividing going on their part, which they take no ownership for. They don't admit, they don't say sorry for it, but then they accuse another side of doing the very thing they're doing, which is kind of frustrating when you want to have a nation that you can get behind and you live in, and you want it to be as fruitful and industrious and, you know, be the best place to live as Canada has been for so many years. You know, when you hear leaders speaking like that, it's just kind of a downer. But anyways, what's not a downer, or could be, is the weather. The weather always changes. And some people like it and some people, it's interesting talking about worldviews, right? So we're going to be talking about the heat that's coming. And some people might be like, yay, it's heat. It's going to be so hot. I love it. And then other people are like, no, I can't stand the heat. You know, so something as simple as weather, one side will love the weather forecast and the other side will hate it. And I've always thought of the idea of an egg and a potato in the same boiling water. So you put boiling water, you put an egg in it, and it gets hard, like a hard boiled egg. You put a potato, which is kind of firm and hard to begin with. It becomes soft after you put it in boiling water. So are we an egg or a potato? You know, depending on the circumstances that life throws at us. I guess I'm stealing Belinda's thunder coming up a little later in the show, having some type of an analogy of the day kind of thing. But anyways, I digress. All to introduce the weather that's coming up. And there's a weather warning, by the way, so you want to stay tuned to hear about that. Our weather is brought to you by Duck Check. We'll be back right after this. Okay, and like I said, weather brought to you by Duck Check. Visit them at duckcheck.com. Give them a call at 705-918-4848 if you're concerned about the air that you breathe in your own home and you want it to be as clean as possible. Duck Check has the technology to make that happen and the experience. And so you want to make sure your air in your home is clean. You want to give them a call and they'll make sure that it is very clean. Currently, it's 14 degrees. It's partly cloudy, but there is a heat warning. And so Environment Canada is issuing this warning. It is as of 5:47 this morning for Greater Sudbury and vicinity. Elevated heat and humidity is expected for several days beginning today. Daytime highs today through Wednesday are expected to be 28 to 33 degrees Celsius with a humidex of 36 to, get this, 42 degrees. There will be little relief through the overnight as lows are expected to be only 17 to 20 degrees Celsius, which is, what a lot of the days have been our hottest days, right? And with the humidex, it's even going to feel like 25 to 30. So imagine that overnight, 30 degrees. it's going to feel like. So I can see why they're issuing this warning. Hot and humid air can also bring deteriorating air quality. Speaking of duct check and air quality in the home, this will bring deteriorating air quality outside and can result in the air quality health index approaching the high risk category. Extreme heat can affect everyone's health. The health risks are greater for older adults, infants, and young children, pregnant people, people with physical and or mental illness, and people with disabilities or mobility issues. Watch for the effects of heat illness, which are swelling, rash, cramps, fainting, heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and the worsening of some health conditions. Drink plenty of water regularly, even before you feel thirsty, to decrease your risk of dehydration. Thirst is not a good indicator of dehydration. And never leave people, particularly children or pets, inside a parked vehicle. Watch for early signs of heat illness, feeling unwell, fatigue, thirst, headaches, as these can rapidly evolve into life-threatening emergencies. Move to a cooler environment, get some shade, or air-conditioned, be in some air-conditioned places. So continue to monitor alerts at Environment Canada to keep up with the latest, greatest, and we'll have more on, that tomorrow as well. But currently it's partly cloudy, 14 degrees. There'll be a mix of sun and cloud today with a 30% chance of showers early this morning, then a 40% chance of showers this afternoon, then a risk of thunderstorms as well this afternoon. And the high will be 30 with the humidex feeling like 38. So not only hot, humid, raining, thunderstorms. Wow, today will be an interesting day weather-wise, so watch for it. Tonight, mainly cloudy with a 60% chance of showers, risk of thunderstorms. The low this evening will be 19, but we heard that it could feel as high as 30 degrees with the humidex. So it'll be a warm night tonight. Tuesday becoming a mix of sun and cloud in the morning with a 40% chance of showers in the afternoon, risk of thunderstorm in the afternoon. Wind will be moderate and the high will be 32. Humidex, 39. So feeling like around 40 degrees. That's for tomorrow. And the UV index will be 9 or very high. Little look at your long range here. Again, 40% chance of showers tomorrow with a high of 32. 40% chance of showers Wednesday with a high of 30. So interesting that we have all this chance of showers and thunderstorms with this hot weather. And then also 60% chance of showers on Thursday with a high of 27. So very, very hot all these days, and with rain or some type of precipitation. And 25 degrees, mix of sun and cloud on Friday. Cloudy on Saturday and Sunday, high of 22, 24. So it starts cooling off starting on Thursday, and then a gradual cooling until we reach 22 and 24. On the weekend, a look at your satellite, and you got your clouds coming in from the west. This is as of 5:30 this morning. For those on the radio, it looks rather clear over us, but for some reason calling for chances of showers and thunderstorms. I don't know if these clouds will be developing or have developed since 5:30, 2 hours ago. But anyways, this is your satellite view, and your weather is brought to you by Duck Check, duckcheck.com. Visit them there. Give them a call at 705-918-4848. Let them know that we sent you, and you'll get $100 off your inspection and duct cleaning for your home, business, whatever it is, the industry that you're in. If you're industrial, commercial, or residential, they do it all. Let them know we sent you. You get $100 off. That's your Sudbury weather, brought to you by duckcheck.com, and we'll be back right after this with news headlines, your comments, and more. Stay tuned. Okay, so checking in with everyone here. We have a few people on this morning, and just like to give some shout outs to those joining us as it loads. And again, with the whole Facebook, YouTube algorithms, it's an interesting time to have a show where they definitely do not want you to be having a discussion. They said you cannot be monetized. You can't make money off your channels because you actually have a discussion with people. They said they don't like that. They don't like discussing world issues. And interesting, so that's what I thought social media was for in the first place, right? But they don't like that. So they're going to make sure that you won't get notifications, more than likely, for this show. If you want to come on and watch, you'll have to. We're on each and every weekday morning between 7:30 and 8:30. You actually have to make the effort to go. It's not like it's going to come on your phone. And so I guess eventually that's just the way people will do it. And some people have even said they've had a hard time finding the show, even if they're clicking on our channel. Just somehow it's finding a hard time. But you won't on the radio as you're driving to work. You just put it on the station and we'll be there. And we're on demand afterwards as well. So if you miss the live in the morning, don't worry. You can catch the show on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and at Sudbury.news. And maybe coming soon, Rumble, right? Because we probably need that sooner than later. And I just have to take the time to do it. And with that, good morning, Nana. Thanks for being on. Young man, wow. Well, I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Good for the self-esteem. And Bob Zanob, duck check. Make sure your home is clean, LOL. Yes, I would need to make sure. I don't know what I probably said something when I was introducing them this morning, but the air is clean. They make sure the air in your home is not full of mold or dust, or you know what I mean. If you don't clean your ducts in your house, it definitely will build up. A lot of things will build up in there, and then it disperses it throughout the whole house, right? So you never know what I'm saying with not realizing it. So maybe I said you have to they'll clean your house, maybe not the air. I'm not sure. Good morning. This is Evelyn on YouTube. Been busy at the camp. Sorry you've been missing. That's not a problem. No apologies needed. Judy's first to the Facebook party. Good morning, Judy. Thanks for being on. Hope you're having a good morning. Monique as well. Good morning, Sudbury, with a sunshine emoji. Yes, it's going to be hot coming up here in the near future, as I'm not sure if I'm being kicked off the radio or not. As I look at my one computer over here, I will have to get back on, see what's going on. Good morning, everyone from Barrie. That's Marianne. Liked and shared, as usual. Thanks, Marianne. Claire joining us a little earlier. I noticed Claire was jumping on a little later in the show the last little while, but good morning, Claire. Thanks for being with us bright and early. David, good morning. Take care. Stay safe. And the same to you, David. And here's Belinda. Sorry, I might have stole your thunder a little bit at the beginning of the show. Belinda usually has a positive statement of the day. Good morning. Intelligence isn't knowing everything. It's the ability to challenge everything you know. These abilities greatly tested in the coming days, months, and even years. For sure, these abilities will be greatly tested in the coming days, months, and even years. There's a wise person that I know said if we're not close with our intuition, our gut feeling, I might even call it like a spiritual connection. If you don't have that in coming days, it's basically you're not going to be able to withstand a lot of the maybe deception, but confusion for sure that's going to happen in the world. You got AI coming out where no one's going to know what's real or what's not. So you'll have all sides from what I was talking about at the beginning of the show, where everybody is marginalized with their world views. They'll just get stronger and stronger with those. They'll have AI to back up what their claims are, or whether they're true or not. And then people won't know whether they're coming or going. It's going to be a very confusing future in terms of what to believe or what not to believe. Where is truth? Who is credible to be giving us the truth? You name it. It's going to be very, very confusing. So yes, you need to be at least working on the muscle in between our ears and the one in our chest and the one in our gut. So the three of them basically need to work together. Your gut feeling, your heart, go with your heart, and your brain. All three of them were given to us for a reason, and we needed to kind of strengthen them in terms of knowing what is true and what is not. So thank you very much for that, Belinda. And good morning, Miles. Thanks for being on. Morning to you. And Marianne, looking forward to finally getting some heat. So you're on that side. It's a positive thing we're getting some heat. And Marianne says, hope all the fathers had a great day yesterday. And Marianne, yes, as a father myself, I had an incredible Father's Day. And it wasn't full of pomp and, celebration. It was more of an introspective kind of one, just with close friends and family and, just people that, I care about and care about me. And it was a really great Father's Day for sure. It was 100% good. I hope everyone else, as Marianne was hoping, also had a good Father's Day, because it's not always, cut and dry Father's Day. Some of us struggle with the relationship we've had with our fathers, like it's not uncommon. It's probably more common. And some of us are struggling fathers ourselves and grappling with the role and responsibilities and wanting the best for those that we are here to provide for and nurture and watch out for and make decisions that will hopefully help them. But sometimes we don't make the greatest decisions, and sometimes we do make good decisions and they're not recognized, or they're the opposite. They're people could come back at you and say, why did you do these things? And it's an interesting thing, our relationships in general, but a father-son, father-daughter relationship is interesting as well. And some people say they had the greatest father in the world, and that's great. And I've got to experience both of those in the same relationship. It was great and it was not so great, all, at different points in time. And I'm grateful I was able to experience the both, two of those. So Father's Day yesterday, I'm sure some people might have struggled a little bit with that. And so I hope you're able to process that relationship and come out at the other end more positive than anything, able to percolate and come to some point of peace with that. Because that's what it's meant to do eventually anyways, is just kind of make sense of it, come to some point of peace with your relationship with your father, or you as a father with the relationship with your children. And if you still have the ability to make that relationship better, if they haven't already passed on, even if they have passed on, you can still come to a place of peace with that relationship. But if you still have the ability to affect a relationship in a positive way, what are the ways you can do that? You'll feel much better if you think of ways you can make those relationships better, even if it even seems impossible. Watch your children, strange ladies selling chocolate bars here in North Bay and Sturgeon Falls. That's interesting. Okay, so there's strange ladies selling chocolate bars in North Bay and Sturgeon Falls, which I guess Claire is saying there could be some nefarious reasons for this. That's interesting. That's the first time I heard about that. So I guess that's good that we're at least making people aware on the show. Denise says, blessings from Espanola, prepper and watching. USA passed the draft to 18 to 26-year-old daughters and sons. Yes, I heard that yesterday as well. So they are looking to bring back the draft. And I wonder why. Like you'd think, well, World War I, World War II, maybe even Vietnam, there's a war going on. And so that's the reason why they were drafting. So you ask yourself now, well, what war is going on that would need a draft? So you think, are they going to send people to Ukraine, which they said they would never do? That's a possibility. Are they expecting maybe a war to break out that we're not aware of? And that's why they're instituting a draft. That's interesting. But it's daughters and sons this time, not just sons, right? If that's correct, that's interesting. I don't think they've ever done that before. They've never had a draft of women. Lots to unpack there, I'm sure. So how about the one of our armed forces ships in Cuban harbor alongside a Russian ship, surprise reported by the CBC. So our ship in Canada was alongside a Russian ship. That is an interesting combination for sure. That would politically, that is interesting. Why would we, who should be an ally with other countries, be alongside a Russian ship? Okay, well, maybe they're just two ships passing in the night and they just wanted to say hi to each other, hopefully. Wow. Okay, well, like I said, the future is going to be interesting. How that plays out will be very interesting. Belinda says, we'll have no choice but to wake up. There won't be much division then. They will have no choice because it will be self-preservation. And you kind of allude to this future that could, really be, the world shaken up kind of thing, and not so peaceful and not so what we're used to, right? In our society here, just the status quo, like things are going to get really shaken up. It could be war, and war could cause all kinds of things. Lately, we've seen our supply chains disrupted and, just our way of life. We've never really had, in our generations anyways, war on our soil, right? We've seen wars and had wars, and even in our history with our grandparents and whatever, there's been wars in the world, they go and fight them. But can you imagine something like that on our own soil? Like, are we prepared for something like that if that was indeed to happen? Would that happen? Could that happen? Is it possible? These are things that I've always asked myself, because some people just feel, oh, that'll never happen, and they don't even think about it. But there is a possibility this North America could at one point be attacked. It's not out of the realm of possibility. I mean, Canada would be an easy target. We don't really protect our borders that much. We don't really have that much of a military. Our equipment is like from the 1800s. It's like all old and decrepit. We really don't, you know what I mean? Like if I was a foreign entity that was meddling in politics and in our elections and whatever, and I really, had those intentions, maybe that's some kind of plan. I would come in through Canada and whatever, right? Then come at the real enemy that way. So why do I talk about this? It's because it's possible. And if that actually indeed happened, what would your life look like? And aren't we under kind of invasion already, really? If you look at all the people that are coming in illegally to the United States, like what they say, millions of people, like millions of people, tens of millions of people just walking across the border. From where? Like, who are these people? Like, if I wanted to invade a country, and I was a foreign entity that had that as part of my agenda, apparently a lot of these people coming across are military age, young people. And there's been some intel saying that it is a part of a military operation, like right on our soil, like they're already here kind of thing. And they're just waiting for a word to do something. So not scaring anybody. I'm not saying this to create any type of an alarm, other than the fact of a possibility. And have you thought of that? Have you even thought of that? What would you do? Okay, so Denise, it's summer, it's normal and welcoming that you're talking about the heat, obviously. Used to having heat, this is Marianne, where I live, only had 5 days of heat last summer. I wasn't really hot as it normally is. We are going into summer after all people prepared will be okay. Too many panic. I guess you can say a lot of the alarmists out there about the climate, right? And you said last summer wasn't all that hot. And coming into this summer, this will be the first, a heat wave, I guess, that we're getting in later June. We've seen heat waves come before that in the recent past. Denise says that's why our community mattered, not in Ottawa, right where we stand. So yeah, by our own government, our own citizens are treated as kind of enemies, right? It's interesting how that happens. And we talked about division, and we'd rather have cohesion of our people, not division of our people. And leaders doing that, currently in power, they have the ability to bring the country together. They're choosing not to for some reason. I don't know the reason. They would know. Marianne, we are going to hit 41 with the Humidex. Yes, ouch. Marianne, also, Garden will love the heat, and they do. And good morning, Vin. Thanks for being on. And Pat, good morning, friends. Sunshine emoji. Leon says, if you leave your children a world where you never stood up, they'll inherit a world where they can't. Wow. That's hugely profound, and I'll say it again. If you leave your children a world where you never stood up, they will have a world where they can't. That's so true and so right. Thanks, Leon, for sharing that. Monique says, Grand Rising, everyone. Hydrate with good water, preferably distilled with good quality salt, a pinch of salt. Contrary to what you're told, your body needs salt. Yeah, it is true. It brings the water to your cells. Okay, well, little advice there from Monique. Thank you. Vin says, on this day 2 years ago, myself and a couple friends bought James Top a new pair of shoes in North Bay. Good memories. Hey, that's cool. I remember James Top a couple years ago. And Nana says, I have children your age. You are younger. Okay, sorry, yes. You had said that I'm young man, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Nana. And, okay. And Marianne says, I followed the whole trip. What a Canadian hero. James Top. Exactly. That's, I believe, who you're referring to. And he is, for sure. Evelyn says, I'm building a food forest with my hothouses and was able to plant in April now and been doing canning in the winter for my family and I. That's so awesome, Evelyn. And yeah, greenhouse. We're looking at getting a greenhouse here as well. Don't have one currently, but we definitely see the value in that with our short growing season, especially here. Denise says, yes, soul water. I use it every morning, and 1/8 a teaspoon of cream of tartar for potassium. Post. Cool. That's with a smiley emoji. So good advice here for people's health. If you I don't think if you tried it, I don't think you're going to have an adverse reaction anyways, right? So nothing ventured, nothing gained. Health is like that. A lot of my good health practices have come from good friends and family who have tried things already, and they tell me the results, and I go, oh, okay, I try it, and either it works or it doesn't or whatever, and I figure it out myself. Vin says, yeah, Marianne Lamel, I met James Top in Nairn. He came home and made arrangements for him to pick out his own pair of shoes when he got back to North Bay. Store owner stayed open for him to grab them on a Saturday. Ever cool. That's cool. You really like to hear that from people that are supporting people that are going out on a limb and doing things to help their fellow Canadians. Evelyn says, growing your own food will save my family around $10,000 in food per year. You are kidding. $10,000 of food per year growing it yourself. I've often thought of the cost, of growing it versus buying it in the store. And that is, there is a cost to growing it too, right? You may have to buy the fertilizer or the soil, and maybe you got to have more cost up front than you do later. There are seeds which, don't cost very much. The time and effort you put in, but that doesn't cost anything, just your time and things. But I guess compounded year after year, it'd be interesting to have the actual calculations of cost savings. health-wise, you at least know what you're growing. You know what you're putting on these vegetables or fruit, whatever you're growing. So you know that it's basically organic, right? So it's healthier. At least you know what's in it. You don't know what's on things that you buy at the grocery store or in them, really. So that's one real advantage. And a cost savings could be another advantage as well, is growing your own food. Vin says his feet grew 2 sizes on his walk across Canada. Really? Is that an actual fact? If you walk that far, your feet will actually expand probably because of gravity and using them. That's interesting. That's an interesting kind of tidbit. Marianne says that's amazing. He was an amazing man. He is an amazing man. He is someone I would want to protect me in the country for sure. Speaking of James Topp. If you don't know who he is, just Google his name. A pretty incredible human being. So Evelyn says, yes, $10,000 each per year we are saving. And I started growing in grow bags because you can use less soil. Wow, look at the tips today. Not only tips for health, what kind of water we drink each day, growing our own food and vegetables. So you started in grow bags. I'll have to look into that. I know we use pots to get things going, and then we plant them afterwards. And again, I'm not the main gardener. I'm like an observer, and I'm like the laborer. I go out and do the heavy lifting, let's say, or whatever. And I'm not the one going out day after day and making sure the plants are, the weeds are out of the garden and all these things, right? So, and the knowledge of it, which I think I should be more into so I can get more out of gardening. Okay, so some people sail through their troubles. Some have to live with the scars. Elton John, The Lion King. Oh, that's you know what? I never caught that line in the song. Some people sail through their troubles. Some have to live with the scars. That's really cool. Cool line. Evelyn says, Russian subs pop up in the Arctic Circle all the time. Canada makes them turn around. Yeah, so these, and Miles is saying war on this in this country for sure hasn't been since 1812. That's a long time, right? Over 200 years. It's a long time to go without war in the history of the world if you look into history. Canadians are very arrogant, Denise says, superior to the world. We are falling on our own sword. And they laugh at us. It's sad. 5 years of civil war, that's what they're aiming for. Wonderful. Lucky us. Belinda says, didn't the Edmonton Mall have a submarine at one time? Maybe we can borrow that. Yes, for sure. We are arrogant. A lot of us could be. And again, even if we just feel, no, we don't think about it. We don't plan for things. We're kind of sitting ducks in that way because the world has never been just totally peaceful, but nobody, in conflict or whatever. You have to build up a defense. It's just a thing you have to do in the world. And we really haven't. And I don't know if everybody knows this, economically too, we're sitting ducks because I don't know when it was exactly, but it was 8 to 10 years ago. We sold off the last of our gold reserves. We have 0 gold reserves as a country. Who does that? You know what I mean? Who does that? Oh, we don't need gold anymore because we're not on the gold standard. It's like, what? Well, guess who's buying up all the gold? Surprise, surprise, right? 2 main countries I can think of, and Russia and China, mainly buying up all the gold. Why do they need gold if the world doesn't need gold? And why do we have 0? It just makes your head shake. It is what it is. So Denise says, good morning, everyone. Stay cool. It is going to be very hot. Stay safe and healthy. Good morning, Denise. Thanks for being on. And like and share. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, let's see. What time do we got here? We might want to dive into some of the headlines. We're just having a conversation this morning. It's kind of interesting. I got a chance to get them all in here. Keep a wet towel around your neck and it'll help refresh as needed. And Diane, good morning. Thanks for being on. Much appreciated. Evelyn says, I also sponsored James Top from BC to Ottawa and paid the hotel room in Sudbury. I'm in touch with them as well as with Walter Hoffman. Ever cool, Evelyn. And Denise, between gardens and hunting, we don't need much at the store. How did we survive before the big poison stores? The big grocery stores, whatever, the way our society is now. Obviously, we got here somehow. We plant everything in the ground by seed. We have had a great crop last year. I don't understand the greenhouse unless it's about early harvesting. But yeah, just plant your seeds in the ground. No need to transplant. Okay, so here you go. Every gardener's got their tips and their points, so they're all valuable. You spend maybe $200 on soil and then around $200 on grow bags and 40 different vegetables growing now. Evelyn, that's cool. That's awesome. Denise also says 30 million migrants entered the U.S. How many more, or how many in Canada? We are only 40 million. So that's an interesting stat. Now I know, there's different people saying different amounts of people that have come into the U.S., but think of that. If that is indeed correct, which I have no reason to dispute it, 30 million people came over the border illegally over the last few years in the U.S. That's almost the whole entire population of Canada just entered the United States illegally. Wow. Just think of that, But in the meantime, Canada went from 30 million to 40 million, because of our generous immigration policies, right? So we've been, our goal was to totally change the landscape of Canada by bringing in as many new Canadians as we possibly could. So immigration has just been an open door here in Canada. And so what is that doing? But how many are illegally coming in too, right? Well, we're open for business for people coming in, and there has pros and cons to that. There's a lot, I think a lot more cons than pros, because Canada's infrastructure wasn't set up for that. We just weren't. We just aren't. And now we're going to deal with those policies, and whatever, the chips are going to fall where they may. But then how many illegal people did we have coming into our border as well, right? This is unprecedented in our current times. And what effect is that going to have on us? Really, honestly, what does the future look like due to this going on in the United States and in Canada? And if you add it with all of the other things going on, with huge in the news right now with the foreign interference, and our MPs totally called out because they are doing treasonous activity, called out by the report, not called out by the media, or there's been no retribution for their actions yet. But they are giving away information to foreign entities. We have foreign entities coming in to our country by the droves. It's not a racist thing to say. It is true. But what does that mean? That's all we're saying. What's the end game here? What's the goal? What are we supposed to, what's happening here? What is going on? So Marianne says, who does that leader who cares for nothing? So who does that leader who cares nothing for its people? And they put on the news, there was a big theft of the gold. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. There was, at the Toronto airport, there was millions of dollars of gold stolen. I don't know if that's what you are referring to 100%, but yes, I am already harvesting potatoes this week. That's interesting. Yeah, we just put in ours, and I will be able to regrow 2 more batches this year with the hothouse. Hot houses, they were under $200 for each hothouse. So when you say under $200 for a hothouse, if you don't mind sharing, Evelyn, did you purchase the hothouse from someone, or did you build it yourself? And what were the supplies if you built it yourself? How did you build it? Is it just that plastic stuff that you have, or is it plexiglass? Like, if you don't mind sharing that, I'm actually interested. And if you don't want to share it on the chat, you can email us at sudburynews@gmail.com or message me on Messenger, either one. So Marianne says our borders were open in Quebec. Remember what that road was called, right? Roxham Road or something like that. We have many illegals here, for sure. We do. What are the numbers? How many do we have? Who's counting? Like, who's looking into this, really? Like, what? It's not even really in the news anymore. It was when it happened. Denise says the will of the people play a big part in Ottawa. Today, we are silent. So again, yeah, you can't underestimate the power people have when they... But again, we need to all be kind of on the same page. It's not easy these days to get information, to understand whose information is correct, and then to act. You know, it's just there's things coming from left field, right field, and whatever, right? But hopefully we can find a way to get on the same page. Some of us have been able to do it. Sheila, good morning, Sheila, says, so Texas bussed them to the northern borders. Yeah, you're right. I think, so there's a couple things going on with that. The U.S. government systematically has been transporting a lot of the people coming across the borders illegally to different cities across the U.S. Like, they've just been doing that. They've been trying to disperse them across the U.S. For some reason we don't know, you know, like, because I guess if you have 30 million people just standing at a border, it looks bad and it's not sanitary and it just isn't good for life. But they've been taking them, dispersing them throughout. So I don't know how many of them on purpose have been taken right to the northern border with the purpose of having them walk across Canada's border. Again, we don't know the numbers. We don't have the numbers on this. So Denise says we have had Islamic camps on our soil for years. And again, silence. So also global Islamic takeover, then communism cleans it up and rules. Okay. Well, you got this down, Denise. So, and I'm not discrediting that is a possibility at all. Actually, it could very well be. Oh yeah, thanks, Miles. Do you mean those people? No, and I don't mean those people. I mean people that I'm talking about. But I got the joke. It is funny, actually. Minnick says, recruiting immigrants, young men, to fight against its people, all by design. So you're feeling it's all by design. I tend to think it's either incompetence or by design. So it has to be one of them. And it more and more looks like it is by design. From the WEF handbook. Oh, interesting. How to destroy your country. Justin has a lifetime subscription. Yeah, well, I can't disagree with that either. That's interesting. So interested in the hot houses as well. So Vin is as well. So yeah, you got a few people. So you bought them on Amazon, the green ones. They come in all sizes. Ever cool. I hope Nick is listening to this show. We'll have to get on Amazon and purchase one of these. And they're called hot houses and green ones. So I'll look there. So thank you so much, Evelyn, for sharing that. Belinda says, most of the illegals are sitting in Parliament. Well, I don't know necessarily illegals, but they're definitely born in other countries, as we saw on, Friday's show maybe? Or Thursday's show? From Harrison Faulkner, I was so surprised at how many MPs either were born in other countries, for one, or can currently have dual citizenship. It seemed to me if I was counting, there are over 30, at least, elected officials as MPs that were either born in other countries or currently have dual citizenship, which he then questioned loyalty. If you have dual citizenship, which country are you loyal to? You're probably loyal to two countries, not just one, right? And if you are representing one and you're elected to do that, are you truly unbiased and are you truly loyal to the country that you were elected to represent, right? Food for thought. The product hot houses are called Out Sunny. Oh, ever cool. So they're called Out Sunny. I'll get that up on the screen for people for after the show. comments are taken down, which they don't live on YouTube afterwards for some strange reason. Thank you so much. Out Sunny are the name of the hothouses. So Marianne says, the problem Canadians have with immigrants is that they come here and the government caters to them. Yeah, it definitely seems like that. And there's a lot to back that up in terms of policies and money and, setting them up after they come. Yes, them, they, there's nothing else to refer to a group of people as I'm explaining this or reading this. Here, the government caters to them on our dime while many Canadians suffer. Nothing like using our tax dollars against us. They give them housing, pay their rent, give them money monthly. When they work here, they send money to their country instead of supporting the country they live in. There could be a big problem with that. So Marianne, yes. And so a lot of people will use a racist card for a comment like that. But can we even say that just respectfully and matter-of-factly, if it is indeed the case that that's going on, with all respect to everybody, and say we don't agree with that or we do agree with that, either one? Like, let's stop the lying, let's stop the sales pitches, and let's just get on with just being truthful and honest with our policies and why we have certain policies. What's the end game? What are we trying to accomplish? How much does it cost? Maybe we need to know the cost. Maybe Canadians need to know that. Evelyn says, constant ISIS issues in Alberta. They work in the oil sands. Many Arabs up there. Okay. I wasn't aware of that, by the way, but I did hear the Premier of Alberta stating that they do have a lot of new Canadians working in their economy. Denise, is real dual citizenship? The bankers, Zionists all across Canada, even Espanola have Zionists, and they're proud of it. That is a movement, a particular very niche sect of Judaism, or at least they have, Jewish roots or whatever, and they are Zionists, and they have very kind of extremist views in their ideology, right? It's worth, if you're not aware of what they are or who they are, you can look them up. It's not hard to find out if you use Google. Miles says, okay, do Poilievre haters say he went to the WEF conference in the 2000s? He was a minister under the Harper government, and all government ministers were invited to learn about the WEF. It doesn't mean he accepted the WEF's policies. Possibly. I've heard that too. I've heard a lot of people say, yeah, he's no different. He's just a puppet from WF. But then I've heard his statements denouncing them as well. So thanks, Miles, for that. I appreciate it. The churches sponsor and help migrants and want to burn down their own churches. How smart is that? So the churches sponsor and help the migrants that want to burn down their churches. How smart is that? Okay, so it looks like we just had a big conversation today, and our main topics were gardening and immigration policies. So not at all what I thought the show was going to be, but I just continued to just have our conversation here with all y'all. I've enjoyed it. I know maybe some listeners are like, what the heck? Get to the news. I know, but these are issues that are in the news. They are going to affect us. What are all these policies, and what are all of these new people coming into, as Denise shares a little bit of what Zionists are here. We are, grappling with what does our future look like based on what's going on here. And now you have a Russian ship and a Canadian ship together just, around Cuba. They're drafting people now in the United States, men and women. There's a lot going on. I think there was a theme to the show. Whether or not we planned it is another thing, but we really appreciate all you guys coming on today and having this conversation, at least, and doing it publicly. As I have to see, maybe we are not on the radio. I have no idea, because it looks like I might have been kicked off, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how all this plays out. Anyways, thanks for listening. We'll be on tomorrow, same time, same place. We really appreciate you. And appreciate all of the news outlets that give us the news each and every day that we can talk about and report on here on the show. And stay tuned now for If I Can Get On to the radio. It looks like it's not allowing me. It's doing some funky stuff. So if you are listening, CKLU, and you notice there's some dead air for a while, I apologize for that. Nothing I can do about it. But life goes on, and we do what we can do. And with our rooster giving us the last word, we'll sign off today. Hopefully you guys have a great Monday. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. Ciao, everyone.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.